Hi, I'm Jen from That Mama Book Nook, and welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe it is September. That is wild to me. I'm a summer girly, so this time of year always comes with a little bit of grieving, but I do also enjoy the routine that comes with this time of year and like that new year energy, even though it's not a new calendar year, that just comes with people going back to school. Luckily, the weather is still nice around here for a little while longer though, so I can kind of enjoy both worlds for a little bit. Also with September comes my September TBR. Luckily, not quite as wild as August's was, but still way too many on here. I don't have quite as many arcs, although still a lot, and I have some repeats for some of my book clubs, which is always nice. We'll just see what I get to. The first book that I'm reading is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. This I am reading with a local book club, and I grabbed it from the bookstore that hosts the book club. This will fulfill a 25 in 25 prompt of being a novella. Just a tiny little, about 100 pages, maybe just over, book. I believe this is supposed to be a Sleeping Beauty retelling. So meet Toadleen. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult though, the fairies ask a favor of Toadleen. Return to the human world and offer a blessing to a newborn child. Simple, right? But nothing with fairies is ever simple. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles, where the thorns are as thick as your arms and as sharp as swords. He's heard that there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadleen will do anything to uphold. This should be a really easy one to complete, and I love a good fairy tale retelling, so I'm interested to read this one. Also, if you saw my last video, you know that I need all the help that I can get with my challenges, so short books for the win. Then, with the Swoony Readers, I will be reading One and Only by Carla Sorensen. This is available on Kindle Unlimited. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of a cover font in a primary color. Now, I'm considering primary colors what my kids learn in school, and that is the primary colors are blue, red, and yellow. Apparently, there is debate on what the primary colors are depending on what color system you use. I don't feel like this challenge has to be that deep. This one has a yellow font, and I'm going with it. Marrying Beckett Coleman is the best idea that Greer has had in years. She can grant her sick dad's wish to walk one of his daughters down the aisle, and Beckett has her help solving a custody issue with his daughter. Their plan is to spend a year together and then part ways. Easy, especially since they're not each other's types. He's too quiet and too serious, and while he's distractingly gorgeous, he's also her brother's teammate. Beckett is fake husband material, not the real deal. She just has to remember that until she moves in with him, gets to know him, shares a bed with him. Turns out the line between fake and real isn't just blurry. It's almost impossible to uphold when he looks at her the way that he does. This marriage is a whole lot more complicated than what they bargained for. They're threatening to destroy everything they've built, something neither of them can risk. Marrying Beckett might have been the best idea in years, but falling in love with him would be the worst. I love a marriage of convenience, and this is a new to me author, so I'm excited to try this one. Thrills and Chills Book Club is reading When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This is also on Kindle Unlimited. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of being read in a Burr month, like September, October, you get it. Sydney Green is Brooklyn born and raised, but her beloved neighborhood seems to change every time she blinks. Condos are sprouting like weeds, for sale signs are popping up overnight, and the neighbors she's known all her life are disappearing. To hold on to her community's past and present, Sydney channels her frustrations into a walking tour and finds an unlikely and unwanted assistant in one of the new arrivals to the block, her neighbor Theo. But Sydney's and Theo's deep dive into history quickly becomes a dizzying descent into paranoia and fear. Their neighbors may not have moved to the suburbs after all, and the push to revitalize the community may be more deadly than advertised. Next, with the Literally Dead book club hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala, we will be reading kind of a double feature. It is The Babysitter Lives on one side of the book, and then if you flip it over, it is Killer on the Road, both by Stephen Graham Jones. I think I'm grabbing this one from the library. So for The Babysitter Lives, when high school senior Charlotte agrees to babysit the Wilbanks twins, she plans to put the 6-year-olds to bed early and spend the night studying. The SATs are tomorrow, and checking off the Native American / Alaskan native box won't help her if she completely bombs the test. But tomorrow is also Halloween day, and the twins are eager to show off their costumes. Charlotte's last babysitting gig almost ended in tragedy when her young charge sleepwalked unnoticed into the middle of the road, only to be found unharmed by Charlotte's mother. Charlotte vows to be extra careful this time, but the house is filled with mysterious noises and secrets that only the twins seem to understand. Echoes of horrors that Charlotte gradually realizes took place in the house 11 years ago. Soon, Charlotte has to admit that every babysitter's worst nightmare has come true. They're not alone in the house. And the killer on the road, 16-year-old Harper, has decided to run away after having a big blowout argument with her mother. However, her two best friends, little sister and ex-boyfriend, all stop her from hitchhiking her way up Route 80 in Wyoming by joining her on an intervention disguised as a road trip. What they don't realize is that Harper has been marked by a very unique serial killer who's been trolling the highway for the past 3 years. And now the killer is after all of them. They both sound perfect for the start of cozy, spooky season. Super excited to read the next one with both a local book club and the Booked with Babes book club, and that is Sangu Mandana's new one, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I loved The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which is her previous book, and I've been hearing great things about this one. I ended up buying this one because there was no way that I was going to be able to get my hands on it from my library or Libby or anything anytime soon. It's very popular. This will also fulfill a Pop Sugar prompt of a chosen family. Sarah Swan used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great-aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her guild. Now she slightly reluctantly and a bit grumpily helps Jasmine run an enchanted inn in Lancashire where she deals with her quirky guests' shenanigans, tries to keep said talking fox in check, and longs for a future that seems lost to her. But then she finds out about an old spell that could hold the key to restoring her power. Enter Luke Larson, a handsome and icy magical historian who arrives on a dark autumn evening and might just know how to unlock the spell's secrets. Luke has absolutely no interest in the madcap goings-on of the inn and is definitely not going to let a certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So no one is more surprised than he is when he agrees to help Sarah with the spell. Worse, he might actually be thawing. Running an inn, reclaiming lost magic, and staying one step ahead of the Watchful Guild is a lot for anyone. But Sarah Swan is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family that she's made might be the best magic of all. So excited for this one. Then the last book club read I have this month is with Always Fully Booked, hosted by Little Inklings Design, and that is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn, which I already had on my shelf. This is a Bridgerton story. This is Anthony's story. I am new to the Bridgerton world, so we'll see. So that doesn't mean a whole lot to me quite yet, but I'm sure it will very soon. This time the gossip columnists have it wrong. London's most elusive bachelor, Anthony Bridgerton, hasn't just decided to marry. He's even chosen a wife. The only obstacle is his intended's older sister, Kate Sheffield, the most meddlesome woman to ever grace a London ballroom. The spirited schemer is driving Anthony mad with her determination to stop the betrothal. But when he closes his eyes at night, Kate's the woman who's haunting his increasingly erotic dreams. Kate is quite sure that, contrary to popular belief, reformed rakes do not make the best husbands. And Anthony Bridgerton is the most most wicked rogue of them all. Kate's determined to protect her little sister, but her own heart is vulnerable. And when Anthony's lips touch hers, she's suddenly afraid she might not be able to resist the reprehensible rape herself. I'm a little concerned that I haven't read the first one yet, but I think I heard that it's okay, so we'll see. Then I am continuing on with my Zodiac Academy read-along with Vanessa from Reads with Dr. B. This month we are reading Ruthless Fae by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I've heard this one is really good. I probably am not going to be doing too many synopses for these books going forward, just because it is a series and not a standalone. So I worry about spoilers for myself if I haven't finished the previous one, which right now I am on track, and for others who may not have read them yet. But just know that I am still going forward with it. Then on to my advanced reader copies. I still have several that are coming out in September that I didn't talk about last month, and October that I should be reading this month in preparation, but still a little less than the month before, so I'll take it. First up is The Dating Prohibition by Taj McCoy. This is already out. It came out on September 2nd. This I have an e-arc on my Kindle, and this will fulfill the buzzword cover prompt for September of foliage on the cover. Now that Kendra's returned home, she can't help feeling like a kid again, back in her big brother's shadow, trying to get her restaurant off the ground while his new venture is flying high right out the gate. It doesn't help that everyone is refusing to stop calling her Kiki, the childhood nickname she loathes. The only bright spot is her longtime crush BJ. He's been her big brother's best friend for most of her life. He's always been that cool, chill guy that's easy to talk to and made her laugh. Now he's looking at her like she's all grown up, and there's nothing childish about the chemistry that's brewing between them. Even better, he takes her dreams seriously, and he's ready to help her make her supper club a reality. But then BJ extinguishes the sparks between them, insisting nothing romantic can ever happen between them because she's off limits. As her investors fall through and her best chance at fulfilling her professional dreams points to leaving home again for a fresh start, will BJ be ready for love before Kendra moves on, or will he sweep her off her feet when she least expects it? Next up is Charlie Quinn Let's Go by Jamie Varon. This comes out on September 30th. This I also have on my Kindle as an e-arc. Charlie Quinn has spent her life playing by the rules, but when on her 30th birthday she is laid off, her boyfriend leaves her because her life is too predictable, and she spends the night with violent food poisoning. She hits rock bottom at a stunning velocity, and her carefully constructed world unravels. She has no choice but to return to her childhood home in Los Angeles, where her little sister strikes up an idea. Can control freak Charlie go a whole month saying yes to anything her free-spirited sister requests? Charlie agrees, if only to prove that living by one's whims will lead to nothing but disaster and disappointment. But when a serendipitous encounter with her high school crush leads to a month of steamy, no strings attached romance, Charlie starts questioning her monotonous existence. Can she learn to loosen her grip, to let go of past heartbreak, to finally say yes to a messy, bold, and exciting life? Then I have Overdue by Stephanie Perkins. This comes out on October 7th. This is also an e-arc on my Kindle. Ingrid Dahl, a cheerful 29-year-old librarian in the cozy mountaintop town of Ridgetop, North Carolina, has been happily dating her college boyfriend Corey for 11 years without ever discussing marriage. But when Ingrid's sister announces her engagement to a woman who she's only been dating for 2 years, Ingrid and Corey feel pressured to consider their future. Neither has ever been with anyone else, so they make an unconventional decision. They'll take a 1-month break to date other people, then they'll reunite and move toward marriage. Ingrid even has someone in mind, her charmingly grumpy coworker, Mason Nowakowski, on whom she's secretly crushed for years. But plans go awry, and when the month month ends, Ingrid and Corey realize they're not ready to resume their relationship. And Ingrid's harmless crush on Mason has turned into something much more complicated. Not sure how I feel about this trope, but hopefully it's well done and I can enjoy. Also coming out on October 7th is The Hitchhikers by Chevy Stevens. This is also on my Kindle. It's the summer of 1976, and Alice and Tom set out on the remote Canadian highways in their new RV, hoping to heal their hearts after a devastating tragedy. They planned the trip perfectly, planning out every detail. Then they meet two young hitchhikers down on their luck, and they offer them a ride. But Simon and Jenny aren't what they seem. They've left a trail of blood, destruction, and madness behind them. Now, Alice and Tom are trapped, prisoners in a deadly game with nowhere to turn. As the tension builds, the lines blur, and the question becomes, in whose heart does evil truly lie? What secrets are Jenny and Simon hiding? And who will live another day? Got lots of spooky books for October, because coming out on October 14th is The Haunting of Payne's Hollow by Kelly Armstrong, another e-arc on my Kindle. When Samantha Payne's grandfather dies, she figures she won't even get a mention in the will. After all, she hasn't seen him for 14 years, not since her father took his own life after being accused of murdering a child at their lakefront cottage. Her grandfather always insisted that her father was innocent, despite Sam finding her father burying the child's body, his clothing streaked with blood. But when she does attend the reading of the will at the behest of her aunt, she discovers that her grandfather left her the very valuable lakefront property where the family cottage sits. There's one catch. Sam needs to stay in the cottage for 1 month to finally face the fact that she was wrong and her father was innocent, in her grandfather's words. Traveling to Payne's Hollow, Sam is faced with the realities of her childhood and the secrets kept hidden in the shadows of her memories. When her aunt goes missing a couple days into their stay, Sam begins to question everything again. Plagued by nightmares and paranoia, she begins hearing sounds in the forest and seeing shapes crawling from the water as the rippling waves of the lake promise something unspeakably dark lurking just below their surface. Then I will be reading an e-arc of The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. This comes out on October 21st. In an England fueled by stories, the knight and the witch are fated to fall in love and doom each other over and over again. The same tale retold over hundreds of lifetimes. Simran is a witch of the woods. Veena is the knight of the queen's court. When the two women begin to fall for each other, how can they surrender to their desires? When to give in is to destroy each other. As they seek a way to break the cycle, a mysterious assassin begins targeting tales like theirs. To survive, the two will need to write a story stronger than the one fate has given them. Then the last arc on my Kindle is An Unlikely Coven by A.M. Kvita. This is out on October 28th. After 7 long years, Joan Greenwood is finally returning home. Unfortunately, her family totally forgot about it. Joan's homecoming is lukewarm at best, but soon turns disastrous when news hits that someone has created a spell that can turn an ordinary human into a powerful witch, threatening the balance of the magical world and the Greenwood's place at the top of it. When her best friend confesses that he has secretly, accidentally saved this human-turned witch from an uncertain fate, Joan is thrust headfirst into a desperate race to undo the spell before it does permanent damage to its unwilling host. Soon, Joan finds herself drawn deeper into the heart of the city's magic, into an uncertain alliance with a very attractive family rival, and far beyond the limits of everything she thought her own magic was capable of. Then I have 2 physical advanced reader copies. The first one is Her Wicked Roots by Tanya Pell. This is out on October 7th. This is a queer retelling of Rappaccini's Daughter, which I'm actually not familiar with, but still kind of an interesting tidbit. Cordelia Beecher's brother is missing. Following Edward's trail, she comes across Edenfield, an isolated botanical escape. Locals whisper about its haunted grounds, but with no other leads, Cordy tells half-truths to gain entry. There, she is employed as a maid to Lady Evangeline, a reclusive botanist who requires staff to observe a very particular set of rules. Above all, men are not welcome. Cordy soon meets Prim and Briar, the ladies' daughters, kept sequestered in a locked wing of the house. Swept away by Lady Evangeline's benevolence and budding feelings for Briar, Cordy struggles to keep her wits and her will if she's to find Edward. As she desperately searches for clues, maids fall gravely ill, planting ceremonies are held for those lost, and Cordy begins to hear disembodied whispers. Can she untangle Edenfield's twisted roots before she is lost to its labyrinths of secrets? Then the last advanced reader copy I have is The Gilded Heiress by Joanna Shoup. This I received as a late advanced reader copy. It already came out on August 26th. This is marketed as a spicy Anastasia retelling. Yes, please. After being raised in a children's asylum, Josie Smith ends up on the streets and ends up learning how to take care of herself. Her singing voice draws crowds on every corner, and she'll stop at nothing to become famous and travel the world, loved and adored by all. Maybe then she won't think about the family that gave her away as an infant. Leo Hardy isn't afraid to use his charms and wit to make a fast buck, especially with a mother and 5 siblings to support. When he stumbles upon a beautiful young woman singing on the street, Leo notices a striking resemblance to the infamous missing baby's mother, Mrs. William Pendleton. The Hardys lost everything thanks to the Pendletons, and once Leo sees Josie, he seizes the opportunity to settle the score. All he needs to do is pull off the biggest swindle of his career. As the two are catapulted into Knickerbocker high society, they grow closer to their goal, as well as to each other. But secrets can stay hidden only so long. Soon, the truth unfolds, and both Josie and Leo must separate what's real from what's just gilding. Then I received several gifted finished copies of books last month from publishers that I would like to try to get to. The first one up is Hate to Love You by Tijan. Kennedy Clark had a plan. A simple set of rules that would ensure that college was the sanctuary that she needed. Rule number 1, no hot guys. Rule number 2, no drama. It might sound ridiculous, but college was her place to start over. The rumors, the whispers, the torment that she received in high school would all be gone. No one would know her at college. She'd major in pre-law, she'd make a few loyal friends. Everything would be easy breezy. No one was going to use her or hurt her. She wouldn't let them. New year, new place, new her. Right? Wrong. And all because of Shea Coleman, football captain and quarterback. He was the big guy on campus. He was also the cocky guy in her political science class with a smirk. She hated him on sight, and he was about to break all her rules. This has fun sprayed edges. This is from Entangled. Thank you. Then I can finally get to Bee Speaker by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the 3rd book in the Dog of War series. I put the first 2 on previous couple months TBRs so that I could finally get to this one. The end of the world has been and gone. There was no one great natural disaster, no all-consuming world war, no catastrophic pandemic, only scores of storms, droughts, and selfish regional conflicts. Humanity was not granted a heroic end. Instead, it bled to death from 1,000 cuts. But where Earth fell apart, Mars pulled together. Engineered men and beasts, aided by bees. An outlawed distributed intelligence. Survived through cooperation because there is simply no alternative. Fast forward to today, a signal. For the sake of what once was, we beg you, help, reaches Mars. How could they refuse? A consortium of Martian work crews gather the resources for a mission, a triumphal return to the blue-green planet of their ancestors. And now here they are, 300 million kilometers from home, and it has all already gone horribly wrong. This is from Bloomsbury, and I just thought this sounded so interesting. I had no idea that it was a series at first, but now I'm excited to read it. Then, also from Bloomsbury, I received a gifted copy of Loneliness and Company by Charlie Dryoff. When Lee arrives in New York, she thinks it's a mistake. The city is a ghost town, her roommate is loud and clueless, and the company she's assigned to work for wants her to train an AI to understand humans, even though tons of AI already exist. Determined to prove herself, she dives into the project. But But as the company's true mission is revealed, the lines between research and real life begin to blur. Lee must decide what she's willing to give up for success, and along the way, learn what it means to be a true friend. Very timely. Then from Scout Press and Gallery Books, I received The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner. This will also complete the buzzword title prompt of an event. At first, I was struggling because I was just automatically thinking that an event had to be something like a wedding or a party or like something that you would RSVP to. But I think if I take a step back, and also when I saw Kayla Books and Lala again, who hosts this, her recommendations, there was definitely plenty of events that were a little bit more outside of that box. So I think The Break-In does fit and is definitely an event. Alice, a professional mother of one, is hosting friends at her upscale London home when a disturbed man breaks in. With her child in the next room, Alice panics and kills him, an act later ruled to have been in self-defense. Everyone tries to encourage Alice to move on with her life, but she can't seem to let it go. Drawn further into the mystery of who this young man actually was, she begins to insert herself into the lives of the surviving family members. With nasty comments appearing online, a strange phone call telling her all is not as it seems, objects disappearing and reappearing where they shouldn't, and her husband, nanny, and friends all behaving strangely. The deeper Alice digs, the more tangled the web of dark secrets becomes. And as the clues start to add up, Alice finds herself circling closer to home than she ever could have imagined. Then my last gifted copy was Until the World Falls Down by Jordan Lind. This I received from Avon. This is described as Labyrinth meets Beauty and the Beast, which I think is amazing. When a brutal betrayal leaves Nell heartbroken and alone, she makes a desperate wish for love, recklessly offering anything in exchange. Her plea is heard by Enver, an immortal as wicked as he is beautiful. He sweeps Nell away to his castle that seems to exist outside of time and presents her with a bargain. Escape his labyrinth within 48 hours or surrender to eternity as his lover. Nell vows to conquer the labyrinth despite the dangerous attraction she feels for its monstrous ruler. But every stolen moment with him leaves her wanting more, and every step deeper into the castle reveals hidden truths about herself and the curse that holds Enver captive. Torn between her desire for love and the dark being incapable of loving her, Nell faces an impossible choice, and her time is running out. I'm just so excited for the books that are on my list this month. Okay, a few more. Now on to my personal challenges that I put on my TBR every month. The longest book on my shelf that has not been on my TBR yet and is not randomly in the middle of a series this month also happens to be the next highest rated in my overall TBR, and that is The Will of the Many by James Islington. And this book is 684 pages. This was just gifted to me by my friend Tanya at Next Door over on Instagram for my 2-year bookstaversary over there. So appreciative and super timely. This also will fulfill a 25 in 25 prompt of a hyped book. I hear about this book all the time and nothing but good things. This synopsis is in first person, so I'm just gonna read it as is. The Catalan Republic, the hierarchy, may rule the world now, but they do not know everything. I tell them my name is Viz Telemus. I tell them I was orphaned after a tragic accident 3 years ago, and that good fortune alone has led to my acceptance in their prestigious school. I tell them once I graduate, I will gradually join the rest of civilized society in allowing my strength, my drive, and my focus, what they call will, to be leached away and added to the power of those above me, as millions already do, as all must eventually do. I tell them that I belong and they believe me. But the truth is I've been sent to the academy to find answers, to solve a murder, to search for an ancient weapon, to uncover secrets that may tear the Republic apart. And I will never, ever cede my will to the empire that executed my family. To survive though, I will still have to rise through the academy's ranks. I will have to smile, make friends, and pretend to be one of them and win. Because if I cannot, then those who want to control me, who know my real name, will no longer have any use for me. And if the hierarchy finds out who I truly am, they will kill me. I am so excited for this book, but I am also a little bit intimidated. Then for my Goodreads Best Books Ever Challenge this month, the next book up on the list is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This I will just grab from my library. This will fulfill the Books Are Life challenge from the L in Life, and also a 52 book club prompt of a book that explores social class. At the dawn of the next World War, a plane crashes into an uncharted island, stranding a group of schoolboys. At first, with no adult supervision, their freedom is something to celebrate. This far from civilization, they can do anything they want. Anything. But as order collapses, as strange howls echo through the night, as terror begins its reign, the hope of adventure seems as far removed from reality as the hope of being rescued. I did read this book in like middle school or high school. I'm sure many of you watching also did, but I haven't read it in over 10 years. My rule of thumb, because I'm not a rereader usually, is if it isn't on my Goodreads, then I will reread it. So I definitely did not have Goodreads in middle school or high school, so I will reread it. It's pretty short, quick read. Then my last personal challenge is my 12 books in 12 months recommended by 12 friends challenge. This month I'm going to read a book recommended by Ola/Alexandra at Obsessive Books Disorder on Instagram, and she recommended to me Into the Wild by John Krakauer. This one I will grab from Libby. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of a non-human antagonist, and similarly a Pop Sugar prompt of a book where nature is the antagonist. This will also fulfill the Mass Center for the Book prompt for this month, which is a book that's told in non-chronological order. This is a nonfiction book, so a little bit different than what I usually read. I do read a couple nonfiction books a year, but not a lot. So this will hopefully be one of them. In April 1992, a young man from a well-to-do family hitchhiked to Alaska and walked alone into the wilderness north of Mount McKinley. 4 months later, his decomposed body was found by a moose hunter. This is the unforgettable story of how Christopher Johnson McCandless came to die. Then, as predicted and as discussed in my book challenge fail video, some of the challenges are getting trickier to fulfill because of the way that I'm doing it and just because there's less prompts to pick from. So I have had to add a couple books each month to just fulfill specific challenge prompts. This month I had to add 2. The first one is on my overall TBR, and I had a physical copy of it already, so it was one that I wanted to read. I just didn't necessarily have it planned for September of this year. And that is Homegoing by Ya Gyasi. This will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt of a country that gains its independence, a Pop Sugar reading prompt of an immigrant main character, and a Books and Bulldogs prompt for September of being a debut. Ghana, 18th century, 2 half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of the other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort in the palatial rooms of the Cape Coast castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and sold to slavery. This book follows the parallel paths of these 2 sisters and their descendants through 8 generations. And then the last book, this book wasn't on my radar at all, but it does sound really interesting, is The Change by Kirsten Miller. This book is available on Kindle Unlimited. This book will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt and a Pop Sugar prompt, both of menopause. In the Long Island oceanfront community of Mattock, 3 different women discover that midlife changes bring a whole new type of empowerment. After Nessa James's husband dies and her twin daughters leave for college, she's left all alone in a trim white cottage not far from the ocean. In the quiet of her late 40s, the former nurse begins to hear voices. It doesn't take long for Nessa to realize that the voices calling out to her belong to the dead, a gift she's inherited from her grandmother, which comes with with special responsibilities. On the cusp of 50, suave advertising director Harriet Osborne has just witnessed the implosion of her lucrative career and her marriage. She hasn't left her house in months, and from the outside, it appears as if both she and her garden have both gone to seed. But Harriet's life is far from over. In fact, she's undergone a stunning and very welcome metamorphosis. Lastly, ambitious former executive Jo Levison has spent 30 long years at war with her body. The free-floating rage and hot flashes that arrive with the beginning of menopause feel like the very last straw, until she realizes she has the ability to channel them and finally comes into her power. Guided by voices only Nessa can hear, the trio of women discover a teenage girl whose body was abandoned beside a remote beach. The police have written the victim off as a drug-addicted sex worker, but the women refuse to buy into the official narrative. Their investigation into the girl's murder leads to more bodies and to the town's most exclusive and isolated enclave, a world of stupendous wealth where the rules don't apply. With their newfound powers, Jo, Nessa, and Harriet will take matters into their own hands. That's it for September. As I said, so excited for this month. I have so many intriguing reads that I'm excited for, and of course a whole bunch of in progress and rollover reads as well. I'd love to know what you are reading in September, especially if we're reading any of the same books. Let me know in the comments. But if you are not feeling super chatty and you just want to let me know that you were here and watched my video, go ahead and leave me some leaf emojis for the change in season starting soon, and a little play on the change from my last book that I talked about. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!